All right. Voshy, welcome to Aeropool interview series. It's a pleasure to have you on. And I think we can start just simple. Can you introduce yourself and what you've been building with the Grid Academy?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for having me. Amazing to be finally doing this. We were talking about doing this for a while. I'm Voshy, and I'm the founder of Grid Academy. Uh, Grid Academy is an educational initiative that aims to do as much as it can to improve. Um, this space by teaching people how to stay safe, how to protect themselves from the regular dangers that this space is definitely full of, how to stay secure, how to keep your things private, how to make some better decisions, what things are available in this space from DeFi to, uh, and kind of yielding opportunities, staking, pretty much everything crypto related. And we fund everything by our validator, which is set up in a way where even though it has zero commission on both inflation and MBV, the block rewards are were plenty on Solana during the last year, and that is basically how the whole initiative is being funded. So I could go way longer into explaining everything, but I think that is kind of the short overview of what Grid Academy is. And then personally, I've been working in the space full time since early 2021. I have a Blast Control, which is a consultancy agency that I also founded with a group of people running since then. And I've been just very active in the space. And let's say Grid Academy is kind of my way of trying to do something purely as a passion project and try to improve the space.
Love it. Yeah, and great that you mentioned that you joined the space like 2021. The same for me. I've been there for like 4 years, and it's been the best times of my life, I guess. And yeah, we will go into the Grid Academy and how it operates in a minute. But the Grid Academy we know today didn't start as at a fast. You started as a grid experiment, right? With a grid token and those Twitter permission things. So what made you start the Grid Academy in the first place? And was there any moment or problems that pushed you to begin with?
Yeah, well, the initial yeah, we now say that it started as the grid experiment, but when grid experiment was happening, this was definitely not something that I had any clue how it's going to play out, right? Even the grid experiment itself was not a planned thing. It was a sarcastic tweet that somehow then turned into these crazy things everybody talked about for a long time. But the grid experiment kind of showed to me that people in this space are in need of, you know, some more education on simple stuff. And I think the main takeaway for me from the grid experiments was that quite a few people were actually affected. Uh, by that, I mean they actually changed how they're doing and approaching some things after the grid experiment. And for months after the grid experiment, I've been approached on, during live events or got some DMs of people saying, uh, I actually am way more careful now. I would never give my permissions for this or that. I'm careful about signing these kind of messages, and it showed me that people do, like learning new things. It's just that in this space, it was hard to, even though you had all of this information clearly available around, if you looked, people will not look. So you need to find a way to make people notice, to make people look, to make people think that, spending some time there has other benefits other than them learning something, because apparently that as a standalone is not enough for most people, which then made me think, how do we make this sustainable, right? You cannot make a new grid experiment every week to teach people something new, right? Even though clearly from the second experiment we learned that you can probably in this space do it more times than it should be normal, right? Second time I was expecting everybody to be very aware of what I'm doing, but they weren't again. But still, it's not probably possible to do it every week. So finding a sustainable way of keeping presence and continuing to teach people something was not an easy problem to solve, especially how do you fund something like that. And then slowly the whole thing took shape in a way
Yeah.
of Grid Academy and Validator as the main source of funding.
Yeah, that's a great story. And I was one of the many who participated in Grid Academy. I think I still hold the grid tokens, the billions and billions of grid tokens in my Phantom wallet still. And I should mention that this was kind of a turnout point for me where after the experiment, when you revealed that it was all the experiment and what was it entails, I took the security and how I approach my security on a blockchain more seriously. So this is definitely was a big lesson for me, and I guess for many others as well. Um, but let's get back to the Grid Academy we know today. So you guys use a season-based staking system for onboarding to the seasons. And why do you choose this model instead of going with the subscriptions or maybe one-time fee? Because I believe Grid Academy Validate is the only one on Solana who actually doing that right now.
Well, it we are not actually charging anybody anything, right? So any kind of subscription or whatever would not make sense in our minds, because people would have to be paying money. The way we see Grid Academy is set up currently is very much a win-win, right? We are constantly one of the top performing validators on the entire network. We are taking zero commission. So if anybody is taking any Solana or holds any Solana, uh, they are getting the return. Like they cannot get a better return than they can get with us, right? So I think what we are asking people to do to participate in semesters, by the way, all of our educational content and activations are completely free and open always. The only reason somebody should be staking to participate is to split the rewards pool that sponsors are providing, right? So I think any kind of subscription, like you suggested, would make no sense, because we are not interested in charging for this ever. We think this kind of content and education should be fully open and free for everybody to access. I think the whole semester thing with sponsors is just a way for us to assure more people notice it, right? We are trying to make it more interesting, more inviting, more engaging, more, like if you are just provide all of this content and this education for free for everybody, again, like I mentioned before, in this space, you're not going to get a lot of action, because there's so many things happening every day. There is so many things that can make people money, and in this space a lot of people are focused on that. So I want to somehow create a system where even the people who are trenching or just looking at new meme coins every day think that this might be somehow worth their time or make it interesting enough for them to notice, and having some kind of rewards for being a good student is one way of doing that. And the staking part is purely to kind of add to that flow, not intended as a way to take anybody's money, right? Grid Academy continued being for a year and a half now one of the top few places where you can park your soul to get the biggest APY.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I guess this is really aligned with the Solana mission and how we want to onboard and do this mass adoption, as we all call it, is not really gatekeeping the educational and lesson part, but allow people to learn and actually earn from it, as you did for your two past semesters. And you, as I said, you've already run 2 semesters so far. Do you think you and the whole team is happy with how this whole thing turned out, and with the validated growth, with the feedback, and how many impact you're doing for the Solana ecosystem?
Well, I'm personally never happy with anything I do, and I always think things can be better and I can do more, which is probably why am still every day in this space and trying to do things. I do think I'm surrounded by people that feel the same. I think we're very proud about what Grid Academy achieved in this period, and I think we know that we made quite a difference with now us like a pretty impressive amount of people. But we always feel we can do more. That's why we keep pushing. Semesters are just one of the few things that Grid Academy did, right? The first semester was something that was kind of planned, and we were not sure when and if the second semester is going to ever happen or if there are going to be even more semesters. The idea was, let's see what works. Let's see what how we can make the biggest difference. So we didn't know what things are going to happen and how things will finally take shape. We wanted to just try to fuck around and find out, if you will. So throughout the last year and a half, we did, try the actively running bounties, actively searching for people who we thought would be good educators and trying to, offer them some money to start producing some educational content or somehow integrate educational elements into their platforms. We started the grant program. We ran several offline activations and onboarding events during Athens DAO, during Onion DAO. We participated in some big conferences with a booth that could be, like used for uh, on in-person education. So semesters are just one part of it, which clearly are the best known in wide public. But the reason for that again is financial incentivization, right?
Yeah.
So the fact that people could that participated in Grid Academy, I think there's no sole strategy for the last 5 years that you could do that would make you that would give you a better return in 90 days compared to participating in our semesters. You have these cases where Callahan, for example, who was our valedictorian in both semesters, managed to take home like $6,000 worth of rewards from the first semester, and I think over $25,000 in the second semester. And basically, what he had to do for that is just learn about 8 new topics and perform 8 new actions on chain to prove that he understands it, and just keep some of his soul stake that would probably be staked somewhere else otherwise, right? Like that part is very easy to see how somebody who understands what's going on here, it's kind of a no-brainer and very inviting. But Grid Academy did way more than that, right? When you calculate the full amount of people that we touched in some way, either by being in person in classrooms with us, or uh, being a part of our bounty program, or semesters, grant, and everything, we are now talking about more than, I think, 10,000 people involved in some way that we touched, either taught something or they participated in one of our programs, which I do think that for something that's so niche and basically for a non-profit organization in this space isn't a bad result after a year and a few months.
Yeah, I think Grid Academy is doing amazingly well and positions themselves as this a very necessary backbone of education of blockchain and crypto overall on Solana. But there is always a room to improve, right? As you said. What do you think was the key lessons that you learned from the 2 semesters? Maybe there is some feedback that you're already implementing and trying to improve going forward with a third semester.
Oh, well, I think we had a lot of, there's a lot of things that we learned through this. What works better, what works worse, some things that we were personally surprised about. For example, uh, it's not about numbers in this space. I think we are all used to people just showing, big numbers of either participants or users or TVL or whatever as something that you should care about the most. But just to give you an example, we started strongly feeling that even if we do like a bounty that gets 2,000 people to participate in it, and then compare that to having an offline onboarding course with 100 new people in a classroom that never had a Solana wallet before, and getting in 5 hours with a course we designed for them to understand how Solana works, get the wallet, get it funded, and so on. And even though you have like 100 people there, and then you run this other thing where in a week you touch 2,000 people, uh, the this 100 people thing is so much more valuable and makes such a bigger difference, leaves a way longer after effects. And we kind of slowly learned that it's not about numbers, it's about also how you do things, because we now see from the first onboarding course in on Athens DAO that was like in January this year, some people who like the person, just to give you an example, the person who was not into crypto back then, and first time because his brother brought him with him to that event, he went through our onboarding course at Grid Academy. That person is now running basically like a group in one of the countries that should become the new super team, right? Like those are the kind of people that I'm hoping to raise, in a way, and leaving that kind of effect is what makes it worth it. But it's not easy to present that with a big number on a pitch deck or on a screen. So in this space, I feel like people will a lot of the time focus on doing the kind of things that are easier to make look important, even though they understand that doing something less, flashy actually has a bigger effect. And
Yep.
I'm happy that we decided to focus on things that actually matter, even though it sometimes isn't so easy then to explain in 2 sentences why that's so great. It's one of those you had to be there kind of situation, right?
Yeah. Wow, that's a big milestone, I guess, and it's should feel really great to know that someone who never been in crypto got excited because of the Grid Academy semesters, and now leading towards hosting their own local community. This is amazing. And talking about the newcomers, what do you think is one common mistake you see newcomers make when entering crypto and Solana space, and how they can basically avoid it?
Oh, uh, that I could speak a lot on that topic. I think that topic was one of the main reasons why the whole Grid Academy came to be. I have a feeling most of the people get onboarded in this space in a way where they see either somebody manage to get some amount of money that for them seems big, from like before from an NFT, now from a meme coin. And the onboarding path of those people is usually, install a wallet, save this, and start playing around with similar things without understanding anything more about what they just did. What is it that keeps their funds safe? How should they be taking care of their private keys? What is a private key at all, anyway, right?
Yeah.
Uh, how easy it is for somebody to just, send them a wrong link that looks good and them signing a thing. What makes hardware wallets more secure, right? Like, there's so many cases where people think just because it's on Ledger, nobody can take their money. They sign a transaction, and then they are like shocked, how could this happen, right? Like, some of
Yeah.
these basic things about how blockchain works, how their wallet works, how the keys are, private and public keys are connected. I think we keep seeing either them being onboarded with zero of that information, or just being warned about some situations that for them, because they don't understand the background of how things work, just warning people about some scary situations does not help. It's enough then for the bad actors to just change one thing, and they will not connect these two things as being the similar attack system, right? So I think that's basically one of the main, I think the biggest problems, I think, that we are trying to solve and change with most people. Clearly it gets deeper, right? Like, there is a lot of things in this
Yeah.
space that people are unaware of, but I do feel like majority of even us that are here for a long time, when I remember how we were getting onboarded, what was the information that anybody was interested in providing to us, like, it's just missing a lot, right?
Yeah. I think it's just the nature of people to not really care what's going on behind the scenes and all of this technical stuff. For example, when, as you said, when creating the wallet, you just write off the 12 words and you think this is your password and you save. But in reality, when you get to know more about the technical side of things as well, how it works, you find out that it's not really that secure as you think, and you still need to be careful on what you sign, what the apps you're using, and how you should not let bad actors to get into your brain and steal your money, right? Um,
Yeah, I agree with you completely. The problem is people don't care because they are not aware of how different things work here
yeah,
than with everything they were used to before, right? Like, we, outside of crypto, all of the financial instruments and systems they're aware of function differently, right? You can lose your phone, you can come to the bank, you can lose your ID, you can come there, and you are going to be able to retrieve your account, right? If
right,
somebody gets your credit card, steals it, spends it, you're going to call the credit card company and they're going to reverse the transaction, right? All of these things that we got used to for convenience, but in crypto, things work differently, right? Because of all of the advantages of you being the one fully in charge of your things, that does come with a lot of uh, other side, like, with the other side of the coin, which is there is nobody to save you if you send money to the wrong place. There's nobody to call or to show up and
right.
revert it, right? So I think most people are not aware of how different this works, and nobody kind of tells them of or warns them of that. I mean, people do, right? But I'm very interested in finding a way of how we can actually make people notice and understand the gravity uh, of the of the uh,
Yeah.
this space and how things work here. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great example you mentioned, and I think it also applies to the ledger. Because if you miss your private key or miss your ledger, you can't go to the ledger support team and ask them to send you another one or just retrieve your account. This is not possible in crypto. So overall, Web2 and Web3 is two different worlds in terms of security and how things work. So we're still yet to educate people, I guess, and newcomers on those things. And speaking about that, by the way, what do you think is still missing in the crypto education? And maybe there is some challenges that you guys facing, and especially for the new people who just want to learn and build in the space.
That's a very hard question. Right, we are also still trying to figure out, and that's why
Right.
our approach, as I said before, is try different things, see what works. I think it's clear. Like if I went into exactly what type of user in this space is missing what type of knowledge, it's that part is easy to answer. The hard part is how do we make it so most of those people actually learn what we think they should, what we know that for them would be really good to know, right? That's been a hard thing here, right? You're basically solving for this kind of your dog is sick and you need to give him pills, but he doesn't want to swallow pills, so you need to hide it in a piece of meat situation. But how do you do that effectively? How do you do that without having to literally pay people to teach them, for them to be, interested in learning something, it's good for them? How do you make it interesting? How do you make it fun? How do you gamify it? How do you place it in the right situations? How do you present this in a way where people are just going to be way more uh, likely to learn something and stay safer out there? And I'm not sure what it is. One thing that I would say it's maybe missing that I'm also thinking about how to improve is, for example, in the DeFi space, you have this situation where I feel there is quite a few protocols and projects that are not really explaining things in a way that is the best or the easiest for people to understand what's going on. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that there is quite some interest in people in that space participating without being fully aware of what's going on, right? So uh, I think quite a few projects would start standing out nicely if it was clear to the public they are trying to make all of their users a bit more sophisticated and more educated about what is actually going on there, right?
Yeah, I think most of the users doesn't really know how the validators works, why Solana is a proof of stake network actually, and how it's really beneficial or unbeneficial for us, as well as for the DeFi, as you mentioned, what is lending, what is borrowing, where the APY rate is comes from. So those things, DeFi protocols, unfortunately, doesn't really explain too well, in my opinion, as well. But on a grid economy, where do you see grid economy position itself and growing inside the Solana ecosystem if we're talking like 2, 3, 5 years ahead? And what's next for your team? And what's your basic mission, I guess?
So the idea, the basic kind of vision here is to become uh, the educational hub, the point of uh, entry, but also a place where if you're looking to learn something new, that you go for, right? Like that. That's my big goal here, right? Okay, it's all good doing all of the activation, this and that, but where I want to be in a year or two, hopefully, is that if you want to onboard your mom, your aunt to crypto, your first thought would be, I just send them to Grid Academy, and there they know they can just select, I'm completely new, and you have the trust that Grid Academy is gonna know how to serve them the best lessons, the best content for them to know everything that somebody at that level needs to take the next step. But then also, I want somebody who I don't know, was just trading meme coins now, and finally decides to learn more and then looks into, I don't know, delta neutral perpetual strategies, that their first thought is also, where could I, where could I learn about this? And they can also come to Grid Academy and say, this is my skill level, this is what I know already, this is what I would like to learn more, and them getting served the kind of content that takes them to the next level. So let's say that that's my kind of big hope and mission for Grid Academy, to be the place where any skill level uh, participant or user can get to the next level in whichever direction they think is the best. And apart from that, I feel strongly about the two things that are kind of unrelated to that, which is, one is trying to do as many of these onboarding things in person that we can, because honestly, when you participate or just watch some of them, the difference, like the curiosity that you spark in people's minds if you do it right, the confidence you feel about them being onboarded in a way that is going to keep them safer than most of us were back in the day, is just like so nice. And then I think being present at these big conferences and providing this service that we were doing at Accelerate, and now we'll be doing at Breakpoint, where we are the team. You can come and ask questions about something you didn't understand on a talk, or just, anything you're missing, gaps in your knowledge. Those are kind of the things that I would love to continue doing while building towards that first vision that I explained.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I think Grid Academy is going on the front to become the first line of education about Solana space, where you would be able eventually to turn newcomers, completely new people on Solana, gives them enough knowledge to start exploring the Solana space, the DeFi, the deep, and all this kind of sectors alone, with enough knowledge to actually do it right. Um, and I guess my last question is, you personally, what excites you the most about Solana right now? Is there any trends or any projects that you paying attention or would like to see more development going into?
Oof, that's a hard question. Just shortly on what you said last, I would hope that Grid Academy in the future becomes that, not just for the Solana ecosystem, but the
Oh yeah,
crypto in general. The truth is that most of the majority of the most important things that people are missing here are very much not dependent on a chain, right? So even though right now we are very focused on Solana, because this is our home, and every time we teach people something, the examples we are using are from Solana. But I think it's very much not dependent in any way on that being on Solana, right? All of the lessons around security, privacy have nothing to do with the chain, even though we're going to be using examples. And even if we're teaching a DeFi primitive and explaining it and using the Solana protocol as an example, and sending people to kind of do their tests there, the system is the same across the chain. So I think we are also going to start changing some things in a way where people from other chains don't have this feeling that just because they are not playing around on Solana, that they have nothing to do, that they should not come and learn on Grid Academy. So that apart from the projects on Solana and the things that excite me, look, it's I personally do some angel investing. I'm a part of a few syndicates. I am in the last 2 days, I was a judge at the pitch roast for Super Team Canada Demo Day and Super Team Germany Demo Day. I see a lot of things that are being built. I am interested in exploring new projects. There is nothing that I would right now point out as something that excites me the most. There is one project that I think, if everything goes right, could change the space for the better and be very successful, which is Seedplex. And they I think are found like one of the best ways uh, how to bring equity on chain. But everybody says that, but this is quite different. I think they are going to solve one of the problems that I keep pointing out for years now, which is a lot of good teams and good projects uh, kill themselves basically by launching a token that doesn't make sense for them, just
Yeah.
because in this space that's the norm, and it's way easier to raise money, and everybody around them is trying to convince them to launch a token just because they're hoping to make money from it. But the reality is a lot of projects are not in a better situation after launching an asset that doesn't really have a lot of reasons to exist. And I think Simplex will allow Web3 founders to still have a token, but that token is directly tied to their equity. It's not a speculative thing, and it's like a system that could potentially be very beneficial for the space. That's why it excites me. Other than that, I usually, get a bit numb uh, to things that everybody's trying to build, right? So we have a
Yeah.
Colosseum hackathon now. I'm expecting to see, 17 new launch pads that are solving for a problem that nobody cares about. Prediction markets, because right now it's a hot topic. And stable coins also, like some solutions that don't make a lot of sense. I just made few jokes during the last few days about that. Like I like to see people think about something new, something different, compared to,
Yeah.
this is now a hot narrative. Let me just think of anything I can do with that, because then maybe somebody invests in me. So eh, let's say that I got slightly excited, but by a few more very new projects that are trying to solve for something, but they're so early that doesn't make a lot of sense to discuss it until we see how they're going to play out.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just trying to jump at this hype train of the prediction markets right now, as well as the AI or maybe some agents and whatever. But I believe if you really want to be standalone startup, you need to be first of its kind in your sector. So solve a problem that hasn't been solved before, right? But yeah, you mentioned that Credit Academy want to be the front face of educational for the crypto as a whole. So with this being said, do you think we can expect Credit Academy to expand to other blockchains in 2026?
Uh, in short, yes, but the thing is, what Grid Academy is not a smart contract, right? It's
Right.
not a program. So expanding to new chains basically means trying to become present in the communities and ecosystem of other chains, because we strongly feel that even the existing lessons and educations would be very beneficial for them, right? Like if you explain to somebody why and how storing their private keys or seed phrases is important. It doesn't matter if you use Solana wallet as an example through screenshots. Every participant of every ecosystem that plays on any blockchain can benefit from it, and it goes with everything else. Will we try to actively be pushing to deploy something or use examples from other chains? Probably not, but definitely finding ways how we can start being more present outside of our bubble that we know is, I think, important, right? Because
Yeah.
if we already are producing something that we know is applicable, then it's a no-brainer to try to get it in front of the audience that currently isn't aware of it.
Great. Would love to see nothing more, and definitely will be looking forward to learn something new stuff about other blockchains as well. Because I'm really focused on Solana, but I feel like I'm just limiting myself, and I think this is applies to some people on Solana as well. So yeah, would definitely love to learn more about other blockchains like Seas. Probably has a big potential as well as Ethereum is pretty interesting, obviously. But yeah, for the conclusion, I guess how can people find you on X? How they can connect with you, and how they can get started with the Grid Academy lessons today?
Yeah, so our website is very easy to remember, is grid.academy. All of the semester lessons that were ever produced are available there, including what we called checkers, which means that every semester lesson has like a small, check if you actually learn something, and we are trying to make that an on-chain action, right? For the semesters, it was important to set it up like that, because if you just give people like ABCD questions, then you get the situation where people are just, copy pasting without actually learning. While if somebody actually performs and signs a transaction on chain, you at least know they are able to make it, even if possibly somebody helped them do that without, reading the entire lesson. So those are also available. That's what I think makes those lessons very cool, because you can teach a lesson and still go and do the on-chain thing that proves you understand, and you get like a tick. You're clearly not participating in the reward split anymore after the semester is over, but I think it's a good element. Other than that, we have several grants already active and some that are coming out soon. One of those grants with you, which we are very excited about also. And all of the things that are being produced by our grantees are also ending up on our website. Uh, and then I think uh, we have a few other things. Sometimes we're on bounties, so keep your eyes open. And also, the grant program is fully open and active and accepts applications and submissions at all times. If you are somebody who thinks they can help the education in the space in any way, which really means like going from you want to write a few good Twitter threads that are educational, all the way to you want to build a full blown game with educational elements that you think people would use, or you already have a project and with a live dApp that wants to integrate an additional educational element for your users there, whatever it is, as long as we think it helps move the education in a significant way in the space, we are happy to send some funds to you for you to build it or for you to work on it. Um, and then I think the biggest ask here for everybody else who is not, directly participating in something we are doing is staking with our validator. That is what keeps us open. And the times definitely changed since last year. Our stake went down quite a bit, and also uh, and the block rewards are way weaker than they were before. Those block rewards keep us active. Those block rewards are the ones that produced any money that we gave out so far. Staking with the grid validator, natively staking without any locking, without nothing, does still give you the best yield on your soul on Solana. And even though you will have some sites or some LSTs showing some, APY percentages that are higher, that is never really true. Native staking with zero commission on a top performing validator is something that nobody is consistently beating, right? So it is the best way to kind of park your soul. And I think we're still the only validator on Solana that is fully non-profit, and 100% of the any profit goes into education. So I guess my biggest task here is, if you have any soul on the side, stake it with our validator. You can do it through our website. You can do it through, your wallet. Just find Greed. You can, go and compare APYs with other validators. for a year and something, we were never like we are consistently in the top 10 through APY validators on the entire network. So yeah, if you have anybody with soul, go tell them stake with Grid Academy. If you have any soul, stake with Grid Academy to enable us to continue doing what we're doing and trying to improve the space.
Yeah, everyone who is watching here this right now, go ahead to the Grid Academy, enroll to one of the lessons if you want to learn something new about the blockchain and Solana space, as well as stake with a validator if you want to support this initiative, which is absolutely amazing. And we at Aeropool is really proud to support you guys by delegating to you some portion of our soul. But yeah, appreciate the time. It's been a pleasure to talking to you, and thanks for explaining what Grid Academy is.
Yeah, thank you so much, and huge thanks to Aeropool for the support. We always feel so happy when entities that have people who we respect so much in the space recognize what we're doing and make a point of featuring us and supporting us. So yeah, thank you so much. I hope your pool grows as much as it can, and I think you guys are one of the good ones. Definitely not one of the examples that I was mentioning before with misrepresenting anything or doing anything bad. So yeah, also if anybody here wants an LST and is speaking a pool, definitely could recommend that this is the way to go.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, the brightest days are ahead of us, and really excited about the future how we can build it together.
Yep. Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you for being an awesome host. And yeah, everybody who is listening, if you have any questions, feel free to DM Grid Academy or me on Twitter. And yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Let me just end the recording now.